So here's the world that we live in right now, Mr. Thompson. Everybody's got a gun. Everybody runs from the cops. Mr. Kane?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I think Mr. Thompson will be the first one to tell you that these were poor decisions that he made, and that someone his age, in his youth, I think he understands that that's not the kind of conduct he needs to do going forward with his life. I think out of all this, Your Honor, he was involved in. He ended up crashing his motorcycle this time, got pretty hurt, had to go to the hospital. After that, he had to spend 17 days in jail. So I think the lessons that can be learned from this are very clear to Mr. Thompson, that this kind of behavior is going to end up in serious injury to him, to somebody else, and it's going to involve being punished and going to jail, those kind of things. So he understands that it was a serious offense, but he has learned from this, and I think that sending him to prison would be a pretty excessive punishment for someone his age with no criminal record, and the progress that he's made out of these going through the criminal justice system, and that he's learned a lot from this, and I can't imagine I'll ever see Mr. Thompson in a courtroom ever again, based out of this experience. So court looks at his rehabilitation. I think that we would agree with the probation department's recommendation that there is probably going to be some jail time, but then after that, engaging in counseling, I think would be the right thing for Mr. Thompson. He's complied with all the court's orders as far as being on pretrial services. He's working, so he's shown a lot of progress, and I would like to be able to see that progress continue.
At this stage, the court has heard mitigation, not a defense. The violations are admitted, and the legal question is no longer guilt, but placement. The judge must now decide whether rehabilitation can continue under supervision, or whether the risk to public safety requires confinement. This is the moment where discretion narrows, and sentencing authority fully takes control of the outcome.
What do you want to tell me, Mr. Thompson?
I understand that everything I did those days was absolutely horrible. I didn't understand the consequences of my actions, and I was just scared and just didn't know what to do. And then I made very poor decisions leading up to that, and I think that I know there's going to be some consequences that goes along with it. I just hope they're not life-changing, well, this is a life-changing experience, but I hope it isn't as bad going forward. I'm ready to move on with my life, thinking about getting my GED, still working, and I just want to get all this put past me at some point, because I'll obviously never do it again.
So here's the world that we live in right now, Mr. Thompson. Everybody's got a gun. Everybody runs from the cops. I don't know what it is in our culture that has put this out there, but it seems like when there is a law enforcement intervention, the first thought that most people from ages 14 probably up to 30, their first instinct is to run. And not only do we have the incident on the 18th, we have the incident on the 21st, much more significant ending to that. I agree with Mr. View that these types of cases represent a serious threat to the public, not only to you, not only to the officers involved. Everybody around is put at significant risk, and prison is generally the way I deal with these kinds of cases. I do have an exception for that, which is kids that don't have a prior record, and that's, you fall into that, so I don't want to send you to the pen and you come out way worse than you were when you went in. But I do think punishment is necessary in this case. I'm going to place you on 3 years of basic probation. I'm going to impose upon you the standard rules of probation. The counseling, both mental health, drug, and alcohol, seem like a good idea. I'm going to sentence you to 107 days in the county jail. I'm going to credit you the 17 days that you have already done. I'm going to order that you serve an additional 90 days. You can do those in up to 3 blocks if you want to, of 30 days each. One of them is going to start today, so we'll get that one out of the way right away. I want the other 2 scheduled by the end of the year next year. I'm not going to impose a fine. I am going to impose the costs upon you and suspend your license for a period of 5 years. If you violate the terms of your supervision or you leave the state without permission, I can sentence you to up to the maximum penalty in this case, which is 36 months in prison on the F3, 18 months in prison on the F4.
It's actually 60 months on this.
60 months, yeah, it's a heavy F3. Anything else we need to do? Anything that I forgot?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
All right, you do have the right to appeal this to the 12th District Court of Appeals in Middletown. If you don't have the funds to hire a lawyer, to obtain a transcript, or to pay the costs, they'll all be provided to you without charge. I'm going to remand you to the custody of the county sheriff for your first 30 days.
Yes, sir.
All right, in recess.
This sentencing reflects a balancing act between punishment and rehabilitation. The court acknowledged that the defendant's conduct, fleeing law enforcement on more than one occasion, created a serious risk to public safety. The judge made clear that prison is typically the response in cases involving attempts to evade police, given the danger to officers and bystanders. However, the court also considered mitigating factors that limited the sentence. The defendant's youth, lack of prior criminal history, and compliance with pretrial supervision weighed heavily in the court's analysis. The defendant had already suffered physical injury, served jail time, and demonstrated steps toward rehabilitation through employment and educational planning. Rather than imposing a prison term, the court exercised discretion by placing the defendant on 3 years of probation, coupled with mandatory counseling and a structured jail sentence totaling 107 days, with credit for time already served. A lengthy driver's license suspension and financial obligations were also imposed. The judge emphasized that this outcome represents a final opportunity. Any future violations or non-compliance could result in a prison sentence of up to 5 years. The ruling underscores a central principle of sentencing. When the court extends leniency in a high-risk case, it does so with clear conditions and strict consequences.